Hey everybody, Paul Martin here. It is Thursday, the 24th of August, 2017, and we are awaiting the arrival of Hurricane Harvey to the Texas coast. You'll recall in the last episode of the situation, I mentioned that hurricane risks were still a viable threat throughout the rest of the hurricane season to the U.S. coastline, and we're now finding out that, in fact, that is a very real threat as Hurricane Harvey threatens to do significant damage both in terms of wind as well as rainfall in the next 72 to 96 hours in south central Texas and southeast Texas. So I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about a few of the things that I have done over the last 24 to 48 hours because I suspect most of you who watch these videos have been into preparedness for some time. And so if you're just now getting into preparedness and you're looking for a basic video, you're welcome to continue to watch this. We'd love to have you. This is going to be a little more advanced, particularly for those people who already have the basics, the food, the water, the medicines, things like that. I've been talking about that on Facebook, sharing some information. In fact, I did a Facebook Live video last night to answer some questions and just kind of give folks some ideas for those who may not have been through this drill before, or people here in Austin who, because they don't live on the coast, they don't think about the fact that we are susceptible to hurricane and tropical storm risk. And we're going to find that out here in the next 48 hours, just how susceptible we are to that threat. So I just want to spend a few minutes talking about some of the things that I've done over the last 24 to 48 hours so that hopefully will maybe give you some ideas, not just for this particular storm, but in other storms and other situations moving forward. One of the things I'm experimenting with is that I've got an account with Amazon Prime. I use Amazon a fair amount. I've never used Amazon Prime before, but they have a 30-day trial that you can do for free without paying the $99 subscription a year. And I got this idea actually from reading one of the many survival preparedness magazines that I subscribe to, and that was one of the strategies that someone had employed, was that they knew they needed to run around town and buy this and that from the grocery store or from the Home Depot or whatever. So rather than spending time running around town, they simply went on Amazon Prime, ordered everything they needed, and that allowed them to stay at home and take care of things. And so it was a really ingenious way of shopping and utilizing your time wisely. So we have this great technology available to us, this new development in marketing and in e-commerce called Amazon Prime. See if it is a good fit for you. I'm experimenting with it. I've ordered a few things that I needed to order anyway, a couple things for the storm to get ready, and so they're going to be delivered prior to landfall tomorrow. So I'm looking forward to that. One of the other things I've started doing, because we're in a new house, and so anytime you have a big storm like this and you're in a new place, it's a little different. And so one of the things I've started doing is every time I complete a task to get ready, I'm making a Word document and just making a note of it. And so I will have a brand new checklist of things to do during a storm. This house is a little more complex than our previous house because we're now in septic. We have a rainwater collection system as our sole source of water, and we have a backup generator, and we have a swimming pool. And so these things require a little more attention to make sure that they are storm ready. And so I've been writing down the things that I've been doing to get those things into a checklist so that if it's not me doing it, it may be my spouse or my kid or whoever. It enables someone to simply pick up the list and go to work right away and getting the house ready quickly for an ice storm, a severe storm, whatever the threat may be. So think about making a checklist if you don't do this already. We did that more or less at the old place, at the old house, but we were so tied to the grid there that it was a little bit less challenging in some ways and more challenging in others. Because we can now generate our own electricity and drink our own water and not be tied to the system, we want to make sure that it's functional. So that's some of the things that we've had to work on being in a new house. Another thing that I think we need that warrants our attention, and I'm not going to surprise you with this, particularly this crowd, this audience who watches these videos, is the amount of hype that we have seen in the media about this storm is unreal. One of the local TV stations here in Austin, when they do their teaser at the very first of the news broadcast, they bring the meteorologist on, and this meteorologist throws up a rainfall model and says we're going to get 17 inches of rain according to this model. Now, I don't believe this model. I don't think this model is right. I'll show you the model we actually think is going to work, right? Is more accurate, and later on in the broadcast. And I'm thinking, well, if you don't believe it, then why in the world are you showing it to us? And it's interesting because this same meteorologist later today was complaining that another media outlet here in Austin was telling people that the hurricane was going to be a Category 4 hurricane when it came ashore. And they said, that's not true. That is incorrect information. He almost said fake news. I thought he was going to say that, but he didn't say that. And what I found it interesting was that they were showing models that they didn't believe were realistic and then complaining that someone else was giving inaccurate information. And so there's a lot of hype out there, and it is challenging for the citizen who wants to figure out what the story really is. And the story is, for most of these hurricanes, is that a lot of this is an educated guess. We don't know the exact track. We don't know exact winds. We don't know how much rainfall. We just know that this could be a very dangerous situation. And so people like you and me are forced to look at a number of websites, a number of sources of news to figure that out. And so that's one of the things I have done and made a diligent effort to during this event, is to look at lots and lots of different websites with weather information to try to amalgamate and come up with what I think is the most realistic picture. So that's a challenge we have, and we're having to cut through the hype to get there. So moving forward, the last things I want to talk to you about are a theme that I've been hitting on in a lot of these videos, and that is showing leadership and demonstrating leadership in times of crisis. Preparedness historically has been an individual sport. And by that I mean, I have my stuff and you don't have your stuff during a crisis, therefore I win. Preparedness is not about winning and losing. It is about building a better family, a better community, and a better nation through being better prepared. And so we are in a great position in the preparedness community to lead the way. And we're going to find ways in the next 24 to 48 hours here in Texas to do that. So let me tell you the 2 or 3 things that I've discussed and I've learned and done over the last 24, 48 hours. This evening, I went on to my Facebook account and told everyone. I tagged my wife in this post because she and I talked about it at dinner, and she says, we need to do this. One of the reasons we built this house and made it so disaster resistant was because we wanted to be able to help others in times of crisis. And so I went on social media to my Facebook page and said to all of my friends and to all of my wife's friends, if you have a problem at your house, if you don't have electricity, you don't have water, you have damage at your house, you have problems at your house, and you need a place to take a shower, or you need to come have a meal, or you need our help, we've built this house, we want you to reach out to us. Please feel free to come over. And I know that is counterintuitive, and I know that violates everything most of you have ever read about preparedness, because the conventional wisdom has always been, whatever you do, don't tell anyone about your preparedness efforts, because the government or marauding bands of thieves are going to come during the collapse and take your stuff. First of all, I don't believe that, for a whole host of reasons. And I talk about this extensively in my book, Pivot Points, and I won't get into the details here. But mathematically, logically, there's a lot of problems with that. Meanwhile, we have friends, neighbors, family members who are in need, and we're not helping them because, God forbid, they find out that we have food stored, or that we have a generator, or that we have water set aside for emergencies. So if we want to be taken seriously, if we want that validation, if we want the public to look at the preparedness community as the leaders and good citizens we are, we have to be the leaders and good citizens. We have to be willing to help others. We have to be able to reach out and demonstrate goodwill and good citizenship and leadership by offering to help others. And so I want to encourage those of you who are in Texas, who are prepared, to do something along those lines. Offer to help others. Open up your home if need be. Help others, because when you and I are helping others, we are setting an example. And it's an opportunity for us to talk about preparedness. And that's what we need to be doing. That's what we need to be focusing on. So number one. Second thing, find a charity in your area that is in need because of the storm. So for my wife and I, that is Austin Pets Alive. It's an animal rescue group. We actually adopted an animal from them, a dog, several years ago. And during crisis times like this, what happens is that these shelters talk to each other throughout the state. And animals that are on the coast in shelters will be brought up here by volunteers to be housed during the storm. And so, as you can imagine, that places a tremendous burden on the local animal shelters. And so they were on social media putting out the call for extra food, extra bedding, extra cages, cash donations. These are entities that need our help. And so we will be making a contribution of some sort to our local animal shelter because we want to help them, because they are helping others in the community and they are doing their part to be prepared and to play a role. So find a charity that is helping as a result of this, and do what you can to support that charity. Finally, last thing that I think you should do, and I actually did this myself today, go to your nearest first responder station, police, fire, EMS, or go to all three and offer them your support. Take some ice cream and thank them for what they're doing. Our local fire station happens to be across the street. And I went across the street, and I've done this a few times and introduced myself. And you can imagine, because they have multiple shifts. You work at 24 and then you're off 48. So sometimes you go over there and it's not the same group of folks that was there the day before. And I went across the street and I said, just know that we're here to help you anyway. And I said, do you have a generator on site in case you lose power? And they said, actually, we don't. We don't have a generator. And for a fire department, that really bothered me. Particularly, it's my fire department, because think about that. If that fire station loses power, that means that no lights, no radios that are hardwired to the building, the refrigerators don't work, the power tools they use to repair equipment don't work. There's a lot of things that they need electricity for to keep our neighborhood safe. And so I said, we have a generator. If you need batteries charged up, if you need lights, whatever you need, here's my phone number, my cell number. It's on 24 hours a day. Please tell your team, tell the shift leaders, call me. I'm happy to come down and help. You're happy to come up across the street and plug in whatever we need to help you in this time of emergency. We want to do. So what you can do is go to your local first responder stations, take them dinner, take them ice cream, offer to help. More than likely, they're not going to take you up on your offer, and because they're trained, and sometimes they don't want folks who may not have training to help out. But you never know. They may have tasks that they need help with, particularly if they don't have power, if they don't have water, they may need your help. Start to build that relationship with your first responders. Let them feel appreciated. More importantly, let them know that you want to be a part of the solution. You want to be a part of the community building process that comes with preparedness. So that's my message for tonight. I will be on Facebook. I may shoot another video. I'll shoot another video episode of the situation probably Saturday or Sunday, depending on what's going on here with the weather. We are expecting here in Austin somewhere between 7 and 10 inches of rain, I think, over the period of the storm. So hopefully it won't all come at once, but it will be a challenge and a good test of the house, the new house. So we're looking forward to that. So comments, always appreciated. Questions, appreciated as well. Always appreciate you guys watching. And as I always say, God bless America.